Motorcycle Adventure Dirtbike TV is proudly supported by Giant Loop, Rally Raid Products and Adventure Moto. In this episode we fly 4,000 kilometres from Sydney to Alice Springs, where we meet our bikes and head towards Mount Dare, just 70 kilometres from the Simpson Desert. This was meant to be an uneventful day of travelling, but by the end of it, one of the riders will have end for ended his bike, broken his back, and got us all thinking, were we going to make it? During planning for the ride, Philippe and I have picked up another 4 riders of varying skill levels, and you'll get to meet them later. Now, the reason we're in a plane is that due to work commitments we only have 2 weeks to ride, and Alice Springs is over 4,000 kilometres from where we live in Sydney. Our bikes were trucked to Alice Springs whilst we took the 4-hour flight. The flight gave us a chance to soak in the desolate beauty of the Outback at a safe distance, knowing full well the following day we would be in the thick of it. We arrived at Alice Springs to a large contingent of screaming fans. The next job? Find the truck with the bikes.
Nugget has lost $100,000 in motorbikes.
He doesn't even know what time it is in Alice Springs yet, so we're in trouble.
I'd like you to meet Nugget. Chased by the cops as a lad and a jack of all trades. He loves heat, drinks like a camel, and is the best rider of the group.
Nugget's dad, he's arrived. He's got our bikes.
Nugget's dad Ted has driven the bikes 4,000 kilometres from Sydney to Alice Springs to help us out, and we appreciated his help.
Hey Ted, you've made it, Ted, well done. Thanks mate, that's half the job done. Yeah, the quality bikes are off?
Oh, the reliable ones are off anyway.
Yeah,
Now the pretty ones are up front, we didn't want them getting dirty.
Most adventurers cross the Simpson assisted by a 4-wheel drive that takes fuel, water, camping gear and tools. An unassisted crossing significantly raises the bar, as the burden of all this stuff has to be taken on your bike, and in my case added about 70 kilograms to its weight.
Final preparation, Nugget.
Just a little bit of final preparation, just put the toolkit in, the Leatherman. The brand new Leatherman. Can fix anything, I reckon. And I just put oink on.
Oink's here.
Oink's who the bike's named after. And yeah, all set. I left my clothes at home though, so I've had to do a Vinnie's run for $4 to get some clothes to wear on the trip because I forgot my clothes. Typical, but
Mal, how's it going?
Dave, how are you, mate?
I'd like you to meet Mal, a very experienced 4-wheel driver and dirt bike rider with a photographic memory and outstanding navigation skills. He's just started his adventure riding career.
What are you up to?
Oh, just final packing, doing the
Do I really need that?
Simpson Desert food, as light as possible, basically. So, but I'll repack probably a couple more times before we go, I reckon.
You're going to carry a seat across the Simpson Desert, you're thinking of? Oh, yeah. You are?
I am.
Right.
I want to be comfortable.
So Alex, how's it going?
good. Bike feels good. Much heavier loaded up, but still handles really well.
Yeah.
I'd like you to meet Alex, who you would usually find out in the bush throwing around his BMW 1200 GS Adventure as if it were a dirt bike. Alex has joined the KTM clan and getting used to his new mount, a KTM 690 Enduro R.
What the hell's that for?
That's a 10-peg hammer. That's for...
That's that murder in the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so why do we need that? Is this to dong someone over the head, is it?
Well, it was Wayne's idea, actually.
Is it prophylactic or...?
It'd work that way, I reckon.
Dave, unfinished business.
Unfinished business, London to Sydney. Got too hot when we hit Australia. Brought the 6 magnificent 5 and plus me back to try to do the Simpson. pretty warm, and so I've just packed 20 litres of water. This is it. If I can do this buckle up.
You're packed.
I'm packed. That is to the brim.
That is.
Alex, we're in the middle of Australia and there's only one way home.
Yeah, it's a bit serious. I should have thought it through a bit more, I think. But yeah, no, it's going to be a great trip.
2 kilometres into the ride, mate, and we're at Macca's.
Yeah, anything for a latte for these boys.
After the latte, we quickly got down to business, heading south to Mount Dare, and it wasn't long before we had the first taste of the desert.
We've just stopped at the 40k mark out of Alice Springs at the famous 40k sand dune for the Finke Desert Race. A few of the boys have gone over to really see how hard it is, and the pros in the race make it look easy. Mal's worked up a bit of a sweat.
I'm losing a heap of weight out of this bike tonight.
So Mal, that's a taste of a dune. There's 1,500 of them in the Simpson.
Well, I reckon 20 psi less in the tyres will be one good factor.
Oh, it does. It makes
And,
a huge difference.
A lot of stuff's coming off this bike tonight.
Yeah.
Well, there's a learning experience for me. Tried to get up this dune, the first one we've come across, and didn't quite make it.
As we continued to head south, I couldn't help but think that if Mal and Alex had trouble getting over that relatively small dune, how would they go when we reached the desert dunes, between 80 and 120 feet high? The ramifications of being stuck in that isolated area just didn't bear thinking about. As you'd expect on corrugated roads, in those first 80k's some bits and pieces shook loose on the bikes. No big deal, but it was enough to open up that old chestnut, the Suzuki KTM rivalry.
What's happening, Nugget? Oh.
The old girl seems to be bottoming out on the erosion mounds, trying to keep up with these KTMs. So I'm just taking a bit off the number plate holder, just so I can hit the whoops at warp speed.
With bolt tightening complete, we turned our attention to the nearby 450s, practicing for one of Australia's premier desert racing events, the Finke. The racetrack followed by the side of the road, and Nugget came across one of its famous racers, Ryan Branford.
More commonly known as Finke, and we're following the Finke racetrack down, and we've just happened to tumble across the local legend Ryan Bad Boy Branford here. Well, we're just heading off over to the Simpson. Have you got any sand riding tips for 6 old has-beens, or never-beens I should say?
I reckon the faster you go, the easier it is. I see past a couple of boys just then. They looked like they were getting a bit shady in the soft sand.
It's been a pleasure.
No worries, guys. Thanks very much.
No worries.
Enjoy the rest of your trip. Have fun, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
No worries. Well, that's about it from Nuggets TV. So keep your throttles on and your filters clean. Over and out.
As we continued to head south, the landscape became more interesting, and the sand on the road got deeper.
You doing one of me?
I'm going to deflate those tires a bit because they're way too hard for the soft sand.
Yeah, look at this. Where is it?
On big rides in isolated areas, it's advisable to regroup after every 20 kilometres or so to ensure everyone is okay. Unfortunately, as we focused on the big distance we had to travel, regroup distances steadily increased from 20 kilometres to a dangerous 50. Our worst fears were realised when we discovered that Alex was missing, and Philippe and I backtracked nearly 50 kilometres before we found Alex recovering from a high-speed crash.
Cornerman system broke down, and unfortunately Alex crashed, and we haven't found him for about an hour and a half. We just got to him now. He's endoed the bike, torn the front headlight off. Not looking too good.
All right.
How are you feeling?
Okay. I've taken Panadine Fort and a couple of Voltaren for my back, but I came down on my backpack and arched across it, and I've still got a bit of pain, residual pain, but I'm okay.
Alex really wasn't okay. We would later find out that he had broken 3 lumbar vertebrae in his back and should have been hospitalised immediately. To continue riding in his condition was truly remarkable.
You don't see this in the Outback too much, but we do have 35 litres between the 3 of us and we've got 100 kilometres to go. But Alex has injured himself and we're just trying to lighten the bike up. It's a big piss you're doing there, Floyd.
Oh, the bladder feels so good now.
Under a stunning afternoon sunset, we continued to head south to Mount Dare. The final few kilometres would be ridden in the dark. With Alex's headlight damaged, we had to share our headlight beams with him.
Unbelievable.
Mount Dare is the last place where we can get fuel, have a good feed and get Alex's bike repaired. We were now just 70 kilometres away from our staging point for the Simpson Desert, Dalhousie Springs. Time to check radios, gear, fuel and water loads. But the biggest question on everyone's minds, would Alex be fit to ride?
The good news is Alex looking reasonably fit, although or he might just not be whinging.
Yeah, no,
I'd be whinging. No,
yeah, I mean, don't come on this side because it looks like a spaghetti bowl.
I was going to, well, look, I got to tell you, the rear end of the bike looks like spaghetti bolognese, and there's Philippe in his underpants. This is for all the mums. All the mums watching. Hi, okay, mums. Say hello, hi, mum.
I take Visa card, MasterCard.
He's called Mount Dare Services. And
he's flat out.
About mid-morning, we headed out from Mount Dare towards our staging point, Dalhousie Springs. We were keen to start the adventure, but we were oblivious to the serious nature of Alex's injuries. Alex had broken his back, and the only thing he should have been riding was a hospital bed. The painkillers he was taking had tricked him and us into thinking he was okay. He should have been in a hospital. Instead, we were heading away from help and about to take on the physically and mentally demanding Simpson. The dune flags on the 4-wheel drives coming from the desert told us we were close to the start of our adventure. Just one more sleep and we would be in the heart of the Simpson.